Gurmimad a Carhirig agus Gurmimad Aodhán seo chun éisteachlinn mé allar mille seo. I think this is a good piece of legislation and the Labour Party is happy to support it. What we need to do is to change the conversation in around education in its totality, and with that in mind, Minister, I think it's beyond time for us to discuss the establishment of the Citizens' Assembly on Education, because it is now time, seeing as we're hopefully coming out of this pandemic and many of the fault lines that have been exposed by the pandemic and many of the power struggles within education have been identified as well, for us to take an entirely new look at the way the education system is structured. Now, this is important in terms of putting students and parents at the heart of the educational discussion, and we know the power that students in particular brought to bear on the entire system by demanding to be heard in terms of the Leaving Cert recently, and in fairness to you, Minister, their campaign met with a listening minister. And I think the Leaving Cert only changed to a choice model because you were willing to listen and you were taking them on board and you treated them with that respect. But you won't always be the Minister for Education, Minister, not for, and that is something that why we need legislation to underpin that type of understanding, that type of engagement. I was always told when I was in the education sphere myself to look at everything from the child or the young person's perspective. Look at everything from the child's perspective. And rarely enough do we have in education debates the child at the centre of what we discuss. There are any amount of power brokers and power fights between different vested interest groups. It can be representative bodies, it can be patron bodies, it can be department, and rarely ever is the child at the centre of everything that we discuss. And I remember taking this to the extreme by actually sitting in the very chairs that my children used to sit in my classroom when they'd gone home, in order to see how did they view the education system physically. What was it like? How far were they away from the board? How far were they from the drafty window? How far were they from the toilet? What were they too encroached by the person beside them? And it was really kind of instructive to me that if you place yourself almost physically in the place of the child, your mind will be open to what their experience is, because the whole point of education is not for people like you or for people like me or for people who are working within the system. The point of education is for those who we all are trying to serve, which is the children and the young people. Having said that, if you don't empower the teachers and the SNAs and the school community, it's very difficult for them to empower the children in due course. In relation to parents and what has been said about voluntary contributions, I can only but agree. The Labour Party put down a bill in order to abolish voluntary contributions, because, as the Irish Parents' Council have said, that the relationship between far too many parents and the school system is a financial one, it's a transactional one. It's based on money. And far too many conversations that parents have with schools and with teachers and with principals are about money. And parents' associations become fundraising bodies. Have you brought in the voluntary contribution yet? What about the book money? What about the swimming money? And then if you are a parent who is of less means, are you less or more likely to hang around the school gate? Are you less or more likely to respond to that type of communication from the school? Are you less or more likely to go to the parent-teacher meeting if you're going to be reminded about the voluntary contribution, the book money, the swimming money? Now, as you know, Minister, and in fairness to you and your department, you have begun to roll out a scheme of free school books in a number of schools throughout the state. I think that's to be welcomed. But that's the type of relationship that we want to have between parents and schools, is that it's fundamentally about children and about their children, about young people, not about money. In Northern Ireland, you don't pay for a school book. And the cultural shift that happens in a family, that you don't spend September or the late August worrying about the school book list, that we have to go and get the money to get the books, and then there's a book, oh, the school may have a book rental scheme. And all that is done away with because the state has actually made a valued decision based on values that children should not have to pay for their school books. Let's just give them their school books. Now, working with you, Minister, you have decided to roll out a pilot scheme, and that's to be welcomed, and we want to work with you to make sure that every child and every family in the country does not have to put their hand in their pocket for the basic provision of school books. Because the relationship between too many parents and the education system is about money. And then when it comes to parents' associations, well, what's the first thing on the agenda? The fundraiser. The fundraiser for what? Keeping the lights on, keeping the school running. And there's a fundamental inequality in that, because there's only so many schools can actually raise the certain amount. You know, I mean, there are schools in more affluent areas that can raise an awful lot more money than those in disadvantaged areas who are almost completely dependent on your department to pay the bills. So there's an inequity in that. In Finland, it's banned. But of course, in Finland, they pay, through a progressive taxation system, everybody has bought into the idea of funding these public services properly. I mean, if you go to some modern social democratic countries, they think it's appalling that somebody would have a fundraiser for a school. Like, I think we need to change the mentality in Ireland. Having a fundraiser for a school is that the school should be forced to have a fundraiser is disgusting. But we all buy into it, and we all turn up to the fundraisers, and we all spend money on the ads. But it's appalling that a school should have a fundraiser to keep it going. And what happens is that the parents feel that this is their role, or my role is to raise money for the school, rather than having a proper engagement, a proper empowering discussion about the future of the school with my child and how I can help my child grow and my child's class grow and the entire school community grow together in a learning environment. But it comes down to bloody money. So this is progressive legislation, Minister, and it's going the right way. And you're putting the parents, you're facilitating the parents' voice, and you're facilitating the students' voice, and that is to be welcomed. But I think within our broader discussion, which we hope to have in the Citizens' Assembly in relation to education, that's a transactional relationship. The financial transactional relationship between a parent and a school has to go. Because you can just imagine the humiliation if you don't have the money. If you don't have the money and your child comes back with a voluntary contribution envelope, what do you say to your child? It's just humiliating. Because education is supposed to be the great leveler. It's supposed to be the great enabler. It's supposed to be the great liberator. But how can you be liberated when every time, or it feels like every time there's a communication from the school, you have to be embarrassed that maybe because of your current circumstances or maybe because of your permanent circumstances, you just don't have the money. And it's wrong. It's just wrong. But we've got into our heads that this is what we have to do. We have to fundraise for the local school. It is wrong. And we should, I think, collectively, politically decide, something, it's wrong. And we'll move away. It can't happen immediately, but we'll move to a position where culturally, politically, we have got into our heads that we are going to fund our school system to such a degree that they don't have to have fundraisers and they can actually talk about education. Imagine that. Imagine a mind-blowing experiment that would be, that we actually empower parents to talk about education rather than money. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like. I know what it's like being on the far side of the desk. I know what it's like being the person sending out the reminders about the book money. I know what it's like sending out the reminders of the swimming money. And you would rather talk to the parents about anything else but money. So, Minister, so let's go back to the positivities here for a second, because I think it's not good enough for political representatives and the Oireachtas members to come in here and pretend that we have all the answers and you're doing nothing, which is what a lot of political over and back is about. So what have you done? You have brought forward this piece of legislation, which you said you would do, and you're doing it. What else have you done? You've ensured that the student voice was at the heart of the Leaving Cert process, and not just was a voice there, but it was listened to, because what the students were saying was they needed a choice, and you delivered that, and that's to your credit. You've also said that you're serious about the Constitutional Convention or the Citizens' Assembly in Education. Well, then let's work towards that and have this proper discussion about the nature of funding and also where the power lies, because far too much of it's in patron bodies. And what else have you done? You have worked with us to ensure that there will be a pilot scheme rolled out in terms of a free book scheme that's gone from, I think, 51 schools to twice that. So I think we are moving towards a situation where we can have a meeting of minds. But I think when we pass this legislation and we do put down amendments to it to force the agenda around voluntary contributions and this transactional relationship, I think when we move into the space of having a citizens' assembly, I think collectively government opposition can come to a conclusion that we have to move beyond this hand-in-the-pocket way of running our school system, and that the conversation should be about the child, and the conversation should be always about the betterment of that child, the empowerment of that child, the potential of that child, and how parents, teachers, school communities can all work together to achieve that. So with that, Minister, we want to work with you, and we'll do our best to enhance this bill, but we very much want to see the Citizens' Assembly happening as soon as it possibly can. Gurmagh.